Hey guys, so today we are going to continue to look at the Cold War, and we're going to look specifically at how it affected Europe in general and Germany in particular. So at the end of World War II, Germany had lost and the United States and the Soviet Union had won. The US and the Soviet Union competed to see who could convince more countries in Europe to join them. The US started what it called NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So the US and all of its allies are shown here in blue as part of NATO. In response, the Soviet Union started the Warsaw Pact. So the Soviets and all of their allies are included in red as part of the Warsaw Pact. Why do you think the Soviets and the United States competed to get as many allies as they could? So, most of Europe, the US and the Soviets just split it in half. But there was one country where they couldn't decide what to do, and that was Germany. So, in Germany, rather than just one, either the Soviets or the Americans taking the whole country, they split it into four parts between the four armies that had won the war: the British, the French, the Americans, and the Soviets. Now, the British, the French, and the Americans combined their parts of Germany to create West Germany. The Soviets kept their parts separate as East Germany. But there was one more problem, and that was the city of Berlin. The city of Berlin was the capital of Germany, so it was the most important city. So even though it was in East Germany, it was split up into a western half controlled by the US and its allies, and an eastern half controlled by the Soviet Union. So once again, the city of Berlin was the capital of Germany. So even though it was in the Soviet controlled eastern part, it was still split up, with a western part of the city being controlled by the US and its allies. Why might this be a problem for West Berlin? What's West Berlin surrounded by on all sides? So, all of this became a problem when the Soviets looked around and said, "Oh, yes, we surround West Berlin, so we can cut it off from the rest of West Germany." So in 1949, that's what they did. They cut the railroad that ran from West Berlin to the rest of West Germany. And after that railroad was cut, the US and their allies had to supply West Berlin using cargo planes for a year. How did the US keep supplying West Berlin after the Soviets cut the railroad? So after a year of this, the Soviets got sick of it and they reopened the railroad. But then, about 10 years later, in 1961, they built a wall around West Berlin. The goal of the wall was to keep people living in East Germany, that was controlled by the Soviet Union, from sneaking into West Berlin, and from West Berlin getting away to freedom in the rest of Europe. Why would somebody want to leave East Germany? Looking at this picture, what does it look like life in East Germany was like? All right, guys, that's it for today. I'll talk to you later.